Imagine you're stranded in the middle of an icy continent. You look around and all you can see is your friends, family, and some ice. You can see that this presents many problems, some of which are what will you eat and what will you drink, where will you live? Welcome to life in a penguin colony. I have loved penguins since the 3rd grade, so over the years I've done a lot of research on them. Over this time, I've realized that penguins, like many other animals that God created, can reveal so much to us about life, including how to show commitment, how to live in community, and how to sacrifice for one another. How many of you have seen the movie The March of the Penguins? Okay, so a lot of you. In The March of the Penguins, narrated by Morgan Freeman, the penguins demonstrate an amazing capacity for love and commitment to one another. There's a special bond between each penguin parent and the child as well. This mirrors the relationship we have with God, our Father in heaven. In the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible, 1 John chapter 3, verse 1 says, "See what love the Father has given us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are." We are called to commit ourselves to Christ and his purpose, in the same way that penguins are called to be committed to one another so that they can survive. Penguins demonstrate commitment, but they also show us how to live in community with one another. An article in the magazine News Scientist called "Penguins Don't Freeze, but They Do Get Very, Very Cold" discusses the way penguins huddle together. It was found that penguin body temperatures drop when they sleep. Despite this fact, penguins survive because they live in groups. When huddled together, they're able to keep warm and survive. They are completely dependent on one another in such a way that one penguin cannot survive alone. This is similar to how God created us to live in community. In the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible, in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 12, it says, "For just as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the body, though many, are one body, so it is with Christ. In Christ, we live as one body. We depend on one another, even though we may seem different." Just like penguins, we need to depend on each other if we are to thrive and survive in this world. Just as penguins live in community, they sacrifice for the good of the others in the group. Waves of Warmth in a Penguin Huddle, published in the New York Times, explains that penguins move in coordinated waves throughout the huddle, throughout the night. Each penguin must serve time, so to speak, on the outside of the huddle, sacrificing some of their time in the warmth in the center so that others can find that warmth as well. The article states that the penguins move in such a way that it would be impossible for an individual to make an isolated movement. This goes back to what I was saying about community and how they live in community in their huddle. Also, it states that penguins have to be altruistic in their behavior in order to survive. The penguins move in a coordinated effort and sacrifice some of their time in the warmth so that the group can all survive. As we live in community, we must learn to live not solely for ourselves, but for others. In the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible, Romans 3:24 says, "They are now justified by his grace as a gift through the redemption that is in Jesus Christ. God sacrificed his only Son so that we may be saved. We too are called to make sacrifices for one another." God's work is not necessarily pleasant or something that we enjoy doing all the time, but we are called to do this to contribute to the greater good and to build up his kingdom. Penguins can teach us how to show commitment to one another, how to practice living in community, and how to sacrifice for one another. In the Bible, the sheep may represent God's children, and the serpent may represent the devil. Although penguins, like many other animals, are not mentioned in the Bible, I think that there is still a lot that we can learn from them. So next time you see one of God's creations that does not seem to have much purpose in salvation and our purpose here on this earth, I hope that you'll take the time to learn from what God has put them here to teach us.